So as we move into our last unit, we begin chapter 13, managing personal finances. This is a challenge for all of us, even for me today, as much years I've had trying to manage my finances, it's a challenging thing. So this kind of gives you some things to think about as you move into, if you will, adulthood, if you're not already there, of things that you can expect when it comes to the financial side of things. So Chapter 13, we're going to show you some of the tools that are involved in what we call managing your personal finances. First off, some of the key things is all about budgeting. You know, you basically want to create a monthly budget, and basically you want your income to at least match your expenses. So it's really about making your income match how much you're spending. So these days, you really have to understand how a bank works because most often, if you're working like I do, your check is deposited in a bank. So you have to make sure you understand how your bank works. Also, as you move into your adulthood, or already there, you're probably familiar with loans and credit. So loans and credit are very helpful for us purchasing big items, but also it can be very, very dangerous in getting in debt. So we have to understand there's sharks in the water, so beware when it comes to loans and credit. Saving and investing. This is a challenge. You really want your money to grow for you. So savings accounts these days don't have a whole lot of interest, but it is coming back a little bit. Some interest accounts are starting to have a little bit higher interest rate. But a lot of savings accounts, there's not much way to grow your money in the investment side of thing. You can save money, but it doesn't grow money. But retirement plans and investments, those are where you're trying to put money aside. So when you get older, you can retire and have a little extra money to play with. So retirement plans are very, very important when you're looking into your job searches. Of course, taxes, this is the thing we hate. And for us, we basically have what we call federal and state taxes. Here in Kentucky, we have to deal with both. Some states do not have state taxes. So that's why some people move to certain states because they don't have state taxes. So, but our state, we do have to pay federal and state taxes. So your gross income is how much you make altogether before taxes. And then once you uh, remove certain things, you have what's called a taxable income. So a lot of times for me, I have a gross income, but I have things I can write off, like I donate to the church, things like that. So that gets subtracted from my gross income, which then becomes my taxable income. So when it comes to doing my taxes, you know, which tax bracket, if you're in certain tax brackets, you have to pay more taxes than others. Your filing status when it comes to taxes, filing single versus filing married, which one is more beneficial to you? Again, those standard deductions, a lot of times we're talking about uh, your dependents, who depends on you uh, for security, if you will. In your payroll taxes, not only do we have federal taxes and state taxes, but also we have Social Security and and Medicare. So those are typically taken out of our taxes as well. So those are the big three that are taken out of your paycheck in that sense. Insurance is nice to have, especially like medical insurance, dental insurance. Again, you have auto insurance, homeowners insurance. All these insurances have premiums and deductibles and copays. So this is where, especially with like health insurance, or I should say life insurance, some people don't purchase life insurance based on they don't have any dependents. Others purchase life insurance because if they do end up passing away, that that life insurance policy can come down and help them offset some of that loss of income. So these are some common insurances. But again, when you deal with insurances, you have premiums, deductibles, and copays. So this all ties in with mostly auto and health. Cost of living and major purchases. You know, uh, you have to have a roof over your head. So is renting better versus buying a home? Those are things. Do you really need a car? Can you get around without a car, or is a car a necessity? Phones and internet plans. It's really important to compare pricing on what you really need. A lot of times, many of us probably have more phone and internet than we really need. We overpay for that. We probably need to be looking at cheaper plans, but we just get comfortable with what we have and we don't search around. But if you're talking about a budget, then keep in mind that you may have to make sacrifices on certain things. And also, major purchases. This year we started buying new furniture, but our furniture is over 20 years old. So we don't go and buy furniture every year. Same way with cars. I bought a new vehicle last year, but the last time I bought a vehicle was in the early 2000s. So it's been over 20 years since I bought a new vehicle. So just keep that in mind. Those are big purchases, and you want to be able to have some money set aside when those big purchases come along. So again, the overall purpose of this chapter is understand a little bit about spending, saving, borrowing, and planning for the future. We're mostly going to focus on some of the banking concepts. So we're going to get into what we call the interest rates and uh, monthly payments and things like that as we move into our chapter. So financial management is really important, and I would encourage you, a lot of us, it's a good idea to go out there and go to the library and rent a book on understanding finances. That's very important. You're not going to get everything you know in this class. I can introduce you to some ideals, but if you want deeper knowledge, then that's where doing some your own reading and creating questions to ask uh, the people at hand that you're trying to get involved with, so you know who what you're dealing with there. So I'll stop there. There's an introduction into your chapter 13.